Well, if you take a good look at the front of your bulletin, you'll know when it comes to those wise visitors to Bethlehem, there was no way that they wouldn't stand out among the everyday people in the streets of Jerusalem and later in Bethlehem. The thing is, it was intentional for them to be that way. We like to refer to the Magi as the three kings, though nowhere other than by tradition does the Bible say that there were three of them in number. It's simply a tradition to match them up to the three gifts which were traditional to give to a king: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Back to that bulletin cover for a moment. I've always been amazed with this picture. That's why I put it there. It's a mosaic. It looks like a painting, but it is a mosaic in the Basilica in Ravenna. And what's amazing about this is that this mosaic was done only like 500 years after Christ's resurrection, in 565 AD. You know, even at this early time, you can see that the kings dressed in distinctive hats and slippers, and specifically, you can look at them and the people could tell that they were definitely from the Orient, as they would have said. With the hats and the slippers and those wildly jazzy leotards they all have on, a very distinctive thing. You know, they were all meant to be seen and known as the three kings from the East. And the three kings were strange, and they meant it to be that way. They wanted to stand out because of what they sought and who they were definitely at home were not ordinary to the people. In fact, when you think about the whole Christmas story, all of it, it's about the arrival of the strange. The Magi themselves were learned in different ways than we might think of someone being learned today. They were astrologers and astronomers. And if you were to go to many synagogues today or early Christian churches, we would see signs of astrology in the building. And we might be surprised that that's part of Judeo-Christian thought. But in his time, that was science. There's a reason that we might be skeptical, I can't say that word this morning, skeptical to such symbols. When these learned men in the first century looked heavenward, they sought the different, to find the light that had suddenly arose that wasn't there before. And they used their imagination to discern what that light meant. They looked with wonder. And like the early scientists they consulted written texts, they researched, and they found what the prophet Micah had written, which you heard a little bit of a minute ago. And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel. A ruler who shepherds the people. To the Magi, clearly the light in the sky declared the arrival of a mighty king. Since they were kings, in their own right, they needed to follow the light and to pay honor to a king. It's so great that the stars align in announcement. These days, if you ask a scientist what the Christmas star probably was, they'll give you a scientific explanation. Oh, it was Jupiter and Saturn coming together. Turns out right now, those are the two big planets in the sky. But it was more than that. So the kings followed that star because they wanted to be part of that mystery of the star. It would change history and them. And of course, as they followed the star and it drew closer to Jerusalem, it made sense to go visit the other ruler there, King Herod. Surely he and his men would know where to look and would be delighted with the news. Except Herod was far from delighted. You know, where the Magi saw mysteries, Herod only saw a threat to protect his power and a threat to the sameness he wanted to keep in his kingdom. To Herod, this newborn was not only a threat as a king, but since he was to be a shepherd of the people, Herod's usual warfare wouldn't be enough. So he urged the Magi to find the infant and return to tell him where he was. You see, when Herod says, "I want to pay homage to this infant," he means he wants to eviscerate the child and kill any hope for a different future. But the Magi are indeed wise men, and they can tell in a way that they are wise not only about the stars, but about what that dark thing is leaking from the heart of a mad king. They will not return. And after they find and experience the epiphany of the toddler Jesus, because Jesus was probably about 2 when this happened, they had held him and gave him gifts fit for a king, but not for a 2-year-old. They listened to a dream they were given, and they go home by another way. Of course, there's the old joke going around these days, if the 3 kings had been the 3 women kings, 3 queens, they would have brought fresh diapers and casseroles and a bottle of wine. Makes more sense. You know, there's a wonderful Episcopal dean and pastor in Atlanta, the very Reverend Harry Pritchett. He actually used to be at St. John the Divine, and he's now at the Cathedral of St. Philip. And at my house, which was so chaotic these last couple of weeks, where there was so much going on here and otherwhere, that my tree really didn't get treated like a Christmas tree. In the end, we threw it up 2 days before Christmas, put lights on it, couldn't find the ornaments, put the only angel we had on the top and 1 ornament, and called it a day. So when I was home these last couple days, I took down that very neglected Christmas tree, and some of Dean Pritchett's writings from way back in 1996 hit me kind of hard. And he had this to say about the Magi. He wrote a piece in 96. He said about the Magi, but what was life like for them afterwards? You know, after the star and the cold light of day, did it all really matter? Does the spirit of Christmas burn away like the morning fog? And when it's time to drag out the tree and straighten up the house and get back to school and return to work, are we not like those wise men going back home to their own country? W.H. Auden describes this post. Christmas mood. Well, so, you know, and that Christmas mood, Auden said, was, well, so that is that. We've gotten through Christmas, once again, perhaps in spite of ourselves. But it's over now. What Auden describes as more subtle, popularly referred to as the after-Christmas blues. Like the wise men, for those who have seen the star, you will not easily fade away the sense of wonder, the capacity to dream. The joy of that holy night continues to capture our imaginations. The sense of wonder, the capacity to dream, the joy which we knew in our hearts as we went to Bethlehem to see what had come to pass, won't easily go away. we still long to know it right here in the midst of our returning old routines. Could it be that our world is really Herod's world, the Roman world, rather than the mysterious Eastern world of the wise men? Are we not more children of Herod than descendants of those starry-eyed stargazers? Do we not seek order, efficiency, control, rather than the unclear, vague, and foremost mystical naivete of those wise men? I believe we live today in a world from which almost all of the wonder has been drained away. We tend to have insulated and isolated ourselves from wonder, from imagination, from mystery, because it is unimaginable, unmanageable, and impractical, and finally, useless. We hunger and we long for mystery. We wish and learn for that which is greater than ourselves, greater than ourselves. We want something that transcends the horrors which technology has given us under the false promise of salvation. And what struck me here is this: the Dean Pritchard, wrote this next line in 1996. We watch powerless as violence and terrorism explode across our lives. And we hear the macho game playing of our leaders under the shadow of war. We sense that the world is out of control, reeling towards some hideous nightmare, and that we know that we must reach beyond this world for anything approximating hope. And beyond this world, there is only the mystery, the wonder, and the star. What the coming of this little shepherd king I read about this morning has given us is he who is the stranger in his own world. Jesus comes into this world, a world of hatred and excoriation and battles, entirely different. He comes and preaches healing. He preaches forgiveness. And like the people in his own hometown, we struggle with people who are strange or different from us. As Dean Pritchard says, there are plenty of contemporary Herods, those people, institutions, and cultural assumptions that kill the childlike wonder in us all. Herods, inside and out, always say, it can't be done, or you must never take a chance, or imagination is worth nothing. Do not follow stars. The message at Epiphany is about going home another way, avoiding the Herods. It's about being different, looking different, loving different, looking up at the star and looking for that star. It is, as he says, about journeying with joy and wonder in all creation. Our Epiphany is not to pack away the Holy Child with the Christmas lights and consign him to a musty closet until the first of Advent next year. No, as a colleague of mine says, the mystical magi are knocking at our door. They speak of stars and destiny and shepherd kings who can lead us to God. They ask us to go home with them by a different way. Are you ready? Amen. I'm glad to be back. I'm sad to see my little tree outside, but I know that I've got to carry the tree in my heart because I'm going home by another way. So I urge you too, at this point, to remember the very best of your experiences from Christmas and try to keep that light that you felt at that moment burning. It's going to be a cold winter, but it can be a warm winter in your heart if you help people. If you look at some of the ways that you might be able to help by making pocket prayer shawls or calling people on the list, that calling is extremely important. I talked to someone this week who was disappointed that no one had called a person in her life who was sick, and I don't blame her. And I explained, some people think they're intruding if someone's sick to call them. You're not intruding. You're saying, look, I love you. So this week, this month, this year ahead, let us be different. Let us be the other. Let us love and heal. May God bless you and keep you all this week. May God show you the place that light dwells inside of you. And may God show you how to shine that out into the community. Amen.